Okay, so I'm going to talk about what I call low arousal behaviours. And I also class these sometimes as sloth-like behaviours. Now, I'm not calling any child by an animal name by any stretch of the imagination, but because I'm a very visual person and because I'm dyspraxic and I see things in pictures, it just makes more sense to me, which I hope makes more sense to you. So these are behaviours. If you think about the animal, the sloth, he's very slow to move. He's very slow to start. You have to kind of push him along, okay? So what's happening in those behaviours is, again, we talked about the brain and the volume button. The volume button is turned down to low, okay? And they're called low arousal behaviours. So what this might look like in a child in a classroom, for example, might be the child is lying over the desk and he's looking out the window. He's very disengaged with what is going on in the classroom. It's almost like you need to move him along and jog him along and jog him along. Very, very hard to keep up. Lying over the desk, not participating, disengaged. You might be standing in front of the child and saying his name, or particularly standing behind him. I talked about the volume button being turned down in the hearing sensors as well. And you might be saying, John, no response. John, no response. And then you come in front of the child and go, John, and whoo, then all of a sudden it looks like he's woken up. So that's really what a low arousal behaviour looks like. You could have a child who's quite bouncy and tiggerish in the morning and very, very low arousal in the afternoon. You could have a child who's low arousal or, yellow behaviours in the morning, and that same child could be showing blue behaviours or red behaviours in the afternoon. We often get a mix in the same child. So just to delineate between a child with low arousal sloth-like behaviours and a child who is just tired because they haven't had a good night's sleep. If you've got a child who's continually showing yellow behaviours in school, you might want to have a word with the parent, or parents, you might want to have a word with the teachers to find out what's going on. Because if a child is getting enough sleep, and our children, need at least 10, 11 hours of sleep. And when I say sleep, I mean sleep. I do not mean having any device in the room. I do not mean them being under the duvet with a phone or whatever. I mean actually sleeping, where the brain gets to have a rest, 10, 11 hours. If they're getting the full complement of sleep, if they're eating well, if they're getting enough water to hydrate the brain, then they should be perky and engaged and awake enough to be able to engage in class. If that child is getting all of that, but he or she is perpetually lying over the desk, looking out the window, disengaged, it seems like the volume button is turned down, it could be sensory. It could be a sensory issue, and that is what's known as a yellow sloth-like behaviours.